Samantha Miller had it all. At least that's what the neighborhood believed. A beautiful home in Ridgewood, a charming, reliable husband named Alex, a 7-year-old daughter who wore bows in her hair, and a golden retriever named Murphy. On the outside, her life was a curated Pinterest board, early morning jogs, PTA meetings, date nights, holiday cards with matching sweaters. But Samantha was bored, not just with marriage or suburbia. She was bored with herself. Somewhere, along the way, she'd traded ambition for perfection, dreams for routine. Alex wasn't a bad husband. He worked in finance, commuted into Manhattan every morning at 6:45, and came home by 7:30. He didn't cheat. He didn't lie. He always brought flowers on their anniversary. But Samantha couldn't remember the last time he looked at her like he used to. Not the polite gaze of husbandly duty, but that burning, hungry look from their early days. And then came Nathan Clark. He was her daughter's private music tutor, 35, confident, with a devil-may-care smirk and sleeves, rolled up just enough to hint at tattoos beneath. He played piano like it was breathing. He flirted like it was war, and Samantha, lonely, restless, dangerously curious, flirted back. At first it was harmless, a glass of wine while he packed up, lingering eye contact, playful banter. Then one day, he stayed late. Her daughter was at a sleepover. One thing led to another. It wasn't planned. It never is. The next morning, she stood in the kitchen staring at herself in the reflection of the microwave. Lipstick smudged, guilt twisting in her chest. Alex walked in, kissed her cheek like always, and said, "You look tired. You okay?" She nodded. Didn't sleep well. He didn't question it. He never did. And just like that, the affair began. It wasn't love. It was adrenaline. Escape. The thrill of being seen again. She told herself it was temporary, but weeks turned into months. She and Nathan became experts at hiding. Texts under fake names. Deleted call logs. Afternoon rendezvous at hotels 2 towns. Over. She still cooked dinner. Still kissed Alex goodnight. Still posted smiling family selfies on Instagram. But every moment felt like a lie. One night, Samantha told Nathan, "This has to end. I can't keep doing this." He pulled her close. "You don't want it to end. You just want it to be easier." She didn't answer, because he was right. What Samantha didn't know, what she couldn't have known, was that someone was watching. Someone who had seen her and Nathan together outside a cafe in Hoboken. Someone who recognized her and snapped a photo. The photo would arrive in her mailbox in an unmarked envelope 2 weeks later. No return address, no note. Just one photo. Samantha, Nathan, kissing. Her hands began to tremble as she stared at it, and, in that moment, she knew. The perfect life was over. Samantha stared at the photo for what felt like hours. Her heart pounded in her ears. The picture was grainy, clearly taken from a distance, but it was unmistakably her hand resting on Nathan's chest, his lips on hers. The background, a coffee shop in Hoboken. It was dated, time-stamped. Someone had gone to the trouble of printing it and mailing it. She flipped the envelope over again. No return address. No handwriting. Just a plain white envelope dropped into her mailbox like a ticking bomb. Her mind raced. Who knew? Was it a neighbor? A stranger? Someone she passed on the street that day? Was it Alex? No. He was clueless. He always was. Or was he? That night, Samantha sat across from her husband at dinner, trying to act normal as her world tilted sideways. Alex talked about a new project at work. Their daughter, Lucy, hummed while eating mac and cheese. Murphy barked. At a squirrel outside, everything looked the same, but nothing felt the same. She kept looking at Alex's face, watching for a flicker of something. Anger, accusation, a trap. There was nothing. Just a tired man cutting his steak, pouring her wine. "You okay?" he asked again. She nodded too, quickly. "Yeah, just a headache." After Lucy was in bed, Samantha went outside and sat on the porch. She clutched the photo in her pocket like it was a live wire. She texted Nathan. "Someone saw us. I got a photo in the mail. We have to be careful." He replied immediately. "What? Who? Do you think it's Alex?" She didn't answer. She didn't know what to think. The next day, she checked the mailbox like it might explode. Nothing. Then the following day, another envelope. Same size, same style. Inside, 2 photos. This time, it was her leaving a motel room. Alone. Sunglasses. On, but clearly her. The message was clear. Whoever this was, they were watching. Nathan started to panic. "This is blackmail," he said when they met in a park near the Hudson River. "Someone's messing with us." Samantha shook her head. "No." Note. No demand. What kind of blackmailer doesn't ask for anything? Nathan looked around, paranoid. "What if it's not about money?" She froze. "What if it's personal?" Samantha started digging. She racked her brain. Had she been rude to someone at Lucy's school? Did any of the neighbors ever seem suspicious or too curious? She scrolled through her Instagram, wondering if someone had tracked her through location tags. Then she remembered something strange. A black SUV that had been parked across from her house for several days in the past month. Different times. Always empty. Or, so she thought. She checked the street camera footage from their home security app. There it was, the SUV, just sitting there, unmoving, silent, watching. That night, Alex was unusually quiet. He barely touched his dinner. Samantha asked, "Everything okay?" He looked at her for a long moment, then said, "You know what's funny?" Her stomach flipped. "What?" He gave a cold smile. "I got a strange envelope at work today, no return address." Her breath caught. "I didn't open it yet," he added, eyes locked on hers. "Thought maybe I'd wait until after dinner." He stood and walked to his briefcase, pulled out a plain white envelope, identical to the ones she had received, and placed it on the table between them. "Care to tell me what I'm about to see?" Samantha's hands shook. Her mouth opened, but no words came. Alex opened the envelope slowly, deliberately. Inside was a photo. Not of Samantha. Not of Nathan. It was a photo of Alex, in his office, through the glass window, taken from a distance. He frowned. Samantha was stunned. "You're being watched too?" she asked, heart pounding. Alex's voice was low. "Apparently." They looked at each other, fear crawling into the space between them. Then Alex whispered, "I think someone's watching us both." The silence between Alex and Samantha stretched long after the photograph landed on the dining table. It wasn't just fear anymore. It was confusion, dread, and something more dangerous, suspicion. "Someone's watching both of us?" Samantha asked again, as if repetition might make it less real. Alex didn't answer right away. He studied the photo. It was clearly taken. Through the floor-to-ceiling glass wall of his 18th floor Manhattan office, from a distance, with a zoom lens. The image was sharp enough to show the stress in his brow, the looseness of his tie, the fatigue that had become a second skin. "I thought you were the one being watched," he said at last, voice carefully even. "You were acting different, quiet, on edge." Samantha's stomach twisted. "You thought I was cheating," she said quietly. It wasn't a question. Alex didn't deny it. He just stared at her, and she, for the first time since the affair began, couldn't look away. Later that night, after Lucy had gone to bed and the house had gone still, they sat across from each other in the living room. No TV, no distractions. The envelope sat between them like a weapon. Samantha took a breath and finally said, I made a mistake. Alex blinked, but said nothing. With someone, she continued, her voice low. It started months ago. It wasn't serious, but it was real, and it was wrong. The admission, spoken aloud, felt like a knife carving out part of her. Alex closed his eyes. For a long time, he said nothing. Then he whispered, Nathan Clark? Her heart nearly stopped. You knew? I guessed. His voice cracked a little. Lucy wouldn't stop talking about how funny he was. Then one night you were humming one of the songs he taught her. You never do that. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees, face buried in his hands. I didn't want it to be true. They didn't sleep that night. They didn't fight. There was nothing left to scream, only the slow unraveling of a marriage built on routine, comfort, and the illusion of certainty. But something else lingered beneath the devastation. The shared fear that someone else had a front row seat to their collapse, and that someone was playing a long game. The next morning, Samantha checked the mailbox again. Another envelope. Inside, not photos this time. A single sheet of paper. Printed, neatly formatted, typed. Secrets deserve sunlight. Either you tell the truth, or I will. Deadline, May 15th. Tell your husband, tell your daughter, or the entire neighborhood finds out. Samantha stood frozen in the driveway, the letter shaking in her hand. Today was May 12th, 3 days. They contacted a private investigator, a man named Darren Bell, ex-NYPD, clean-cut, calm under pressure. He sat across from them in their kitchen, flipping through the envelopes and photographs. This isn't random, he said. Someone close enough to know your routines, where you'd be, how to track you. It's not about money, it's about leverage or revenge. Who would want revenge on us? Alex asked. Darren shrugged. You'd be surprised, Darren. Began digging. Through digital records, CCTV footage, license plates, anything that might point to the stalker. Meanwhile, Samantha's world shrank. Every window felt like an open wound. Every creak in the floorboards sounded like a footstep. Even Lucy began to notice. Mommy, why are you always looking out the window? She asked one night. Samantha just kissed her forehead and said, just watching the stars. But she wasn't watching the stars. She was watching the black SUV that had returned. Same street. Same spot. Engine off. Windows tinted. Watching. Then came May 13th, 2 days before the deadline. Darren called. I found something, he said. The SUV is rented. The rental agreement was signed by a man named Ben Keller. Samantha froze. Alex frowned. Who's that? But Samantha knew. Her voice came out as a whisper. My ex. Ben Keller. The name punched through years of repression. He was her college boyfriend. Charming, controlling, dangerous. Their relationship had ended badly. Screaming fights, restraining orders, ugly texts. She hadn't heard from him in over a decade. I thought he left the country, Samantha said. Staring into nothing, he moved to Germany after we broke up. Apparently he's back, Darren said. He used a fake address to rent the car. He's careful, but not careful enough. Alex stood, pacing. He's trying to destroy our lives. Darren nodded grimly. Looks like it. That night, Samantha couldn't sleep. She replayed old memories, the bruises she covered, the apologies she accepted, the fear she swallowed. Ben had been her first real love and her first real nightmare. She thought he was gone, but now he was back, and he'd found a new way to hurt her. Not with fists, with secrets. May 14th, the penultimate day. A final envelope arrived. This time slid under their front door. Inside it, a USB drive. Alex plugged it into a spare laptop. It autoplayed a video, grainy, distant, but clear. Samantha, Nathan. Hotel room. Laughing, kissing. Clothes half removed. Samantha felt bile rise in her throat. The footage was from inside the hotel room. How the hell did he get this? Alex asked, voice shaking. Darren watched the screen, jaw tight. He's escalating. This isn't about exposure anymore. It's about control. He's showing you what he has. Next, he'll use it. Samantha realized something terrifying. Ben wasn't just watching her. He had planned this. Every photo, every letter, every deadline, a slow chokehold designed to collapse her life piece by piece. She had to stop him, not run, not hide, but confront. That night, she called Ben. She still had his number. Of course, he made sure she did. He answered on the first ring. "Well," he said, voice smooth. "I was starting to wonder if you'd ever reach out." Samantha clenched her jaw. "What do you want?" "I want you to remember," Ben said calmly. "Remember what it felt like. To betray someone. To be punished." "I never betrayed you," she snapped. "You left me," he said, his voice suddenly sharp. "You humiliated me. You forgot me." "No," she said coldly. "I escaped you." Silence. Then, "I'll see you soon." Click May 15th. The deadline. Samantha woke with a sense of clarity. This ends tonight. She told Alex everything, every detail, every scar, every threat. Together they made a plan, with Darren. They tracked the SUV. They called the police. They gathered every scrap of evidence Darren had found. At 7:36 p.m., Ben Keller was arrested in a parking garage in Paramus, NJ, in his car, a folder with printed photos, a hard drive, a burner phone, a gun. Samantha watched the police take him away in handcuffs from a distance. Her hands were ice. Her lungs wouldn't fill properly, but she felt something she hadn't in months. Relief. The story didn't end in perfect forgiveness. Alex didn't magically forget the betrayal. Samantha didn't wake up healed, but they survived. They started couples therapy. They rebuilt trust, slowly, painfully. Nathan left town. Quietly. Samantha never spoke to him again. Lucy never found out. The neighborhood never learned the truth. And Ben Keller? He was charged with stalking, harassment, and illegal surveillance. This time Samantha didn't run. She faced him. And this time he didn't win. The courtroom was quiet, cold, and sterile, the kind of place where emotions were boxed up and filtered through procedures, paperwork, and legal jargon. But for Samantha, every second spent there was thick with meaning. She watched as Ben Keller sat across the room in an orange jumpsuit, shackled, expressionless. This wasn't how she imagined seeing him again. But this was the ending she needed, not with violence, not with revenge, with truth. He didn't look at her as the charges were read. He didn't flinch when the prosecution listed the evidence, the surveillance footage, the photographs, the rental agreements, the email drafts of messages he never sent, his planned detonation of her life. Ben didn't speak. He pled guilty. It was over. Outside the courthouse, the press was waiting. Not for her, thankfully. No one but her family, Darren and the DA, knew the real story. But it was still surreal. Police reports, public documents, rumors floating in local circles. Alex slipped his arm around her shoulders as they stepped onto the sidewalk. "You okay?" he asked gently. Samantha gave the smallest of nods. "I think I am." The healing wasn't immediate. After the trial, things between her and Alex were raw, strained. Some days were tolerable, others were silent. She moved into the guest bedroom. For a while. Lucy, mercifully, never asked why. But something unexpected happened in that quiet space between them. Honesty. With the worst of the secrets now out, There was nothing left to pretend. They weren't just husband and wife anymore. They were two people who had been wrecked, separately together, and were trying to figure out if there was a path forward. Samantha started therapy. Alone at first. Then Alex joined. There were tears, accusations, late-night fights whispered behind closed doors. But there were also mornings when they found each other in the kitchen at the same time, and the silence wasn't hostile. It was familiar. "You think we'll make it?" she asked one night, weeks later, as they sat on the back porch. "I don't know," Alex replied. "But I think we're trying, and that has to count for something." Samantha quit the PTA. She stopped, pretending to be perfect. She started painting again, a hobby she abandoned after Lucy was born. Alex changed too. He left his Wall Street firm and took a job at a smaller company, with fewer hours and more time at home. He didn't want to keep living like a ghost, in a suit. Together they learned how to be parents again. Not perfect ones, but present. Lucy, with her uncanny sensitivity, sensed the shift. "You and Daddy smile more now," she said one morning. "I like it better," Samantha kissed her cheek. "Me too, sweetie." Months passed. The story of Ben Keller faded from public attention. He was sentenced to 4 years in prison. Samantha was granted a permanent restraining order. Darren sent occasional updates. "He's locked up," he'd say. "He can't touch you anymore." But trauma doesn't vanish. It lingers in strange places, in shadows, in dreams, in sudden flinches when a door closes too loud. One night, Samantha jolted awake from a nightmare. She dreamed she was being watched again, that her walls were glass, that her secrets were still bleeding out. Alex reached for her hand in the dark. "I'm here," he whispered. "You're safe." And in that moment, she believed him. A year later, Samantha stood in front of a small group at a local women's center. She was nervous, heart pounding. "I'm not here to talk about infidelity," she began, "or marriage or mistakes. I'm here to talk about fear, about the way it takes hold, about how someone can break you without laying a hand on you." She told her story, all of it, the affair, the blackmail, the stalking, the decision to stop hiding. No one judged. No one walked out. When she finished, there was silence, then applause, and then a woman stood and said, "That happened to me too." That night, Samantha didn't feel like a victim anymore. She felt powerful. Back at home, Alex was reading on the couch. Lucy was in her room, playing music on her tablet. Samantha curled up beside her husband. "We should go away this summer," she said. "Where?" "Somewhere quiet, with no cameras, no phones, no past." He smiled, closed his book, and looked at her. Really looked at her. "I'd like that," he said. The perfect life they once performed was gone. In its place was something messier, realer, hard-earned. And for Samantha, that was enough. Not a picture-perfect ending, but a true one.